priest and a pastor are standing at a sharp turn in a road with signs. One says, "The end is near." The other says, "Turn around before it's too late." Corvette pulls up to the corner and stops, honks his horn, gives them the finger, and goes racing off on his way. The next thing you hear is a screeching sound and a big splash. And the pastor turns to the priest and said, "You think we ought to change the signs to the bridge is out?" When to take action. When to take action, when to take action. You know, Ash said something to me pretty funny this morning. She goes, "Why don't you just get up there and say, 'When to take action is now, thank you very much,' and walk off the stage." And I thought about that. And then I thought, is now the time to take action? Is it always now? Because we have this thing in our movement, right? Treat and move your feet, but then we have this other thing about creating through the sheer power of our consciousness. And so if we're working with those two ideas, the time to take action isn't always now. Because an action is doing, and sometimes what's called for is being. But it's hard because we're such doers, you know? We are a doing society. We love to do. So sitting and being is not so easy for us. And yet, it is in that quiet place that science of mind, our higher selves, that part of us that actually knows what's true and what knows to be done moves forward. And so treat and move your feet isn't always the best idea. In fact, most people who think that is the best idea, most people who set a timetable for their actions, it's because they actually don't trust themselves. They do not trust themselves that if they didn't do those things, they wouldn't take action and things wouldn't get done. They use time as a motivator. Here's the problem if you use time as a motivator. You keep telling the universe you don't trust yourself, that you need to be motivated. You keep putting out into this stuff that we call, that says yes and returns to us multiplied abundantly, that we don't trust ourselves, and so we continually get evidence that, geez, we really do need motivation, because otherwise we're a procrastinator, we're lazy, and we're not getting done what needs doing. Where instead, there's this other thing called a deep and abiding trust. And so when to take action is when you get the yes for that action. When you first know what the action is you're going to take. I mean, I know folks who get so darn uncomfortable with sitting and doing nothing when they don't know what to do, who are just so uncomfortable with not knowing what to do. And yet, that is some of the most powerful times brought to us in this lifetime, is that unknown place where something new can arise that we never even thought was around. Something new can arise, but we're so busy doing stuff, we miss it. So it becomes really important to not treat and move your feet, but instead treat and know what action it is that is yours to take, which is why I keep presenting you the idea of asking yourself the question before you do something, is this mine to do? And I have joked with you around the fact that that I even do that around taking out the garbage. But you know what? That's a great place to practice. Because if I'm practicing on garbage, who cares whether I take it out now or not? I mean, Ash does sometimes, but ultimately it does get taken out. But the more I practice getting used to the idea of, do I have that yes, then when the bigger, more emotional stuff comes along, the bigger stuff that really matters, whether you take action and what action you take, I get so good at this practice of, is this mine to do? I wound up never taking action. I haven't taken an action in years that I regretted taking. And I'm talking years now, because I've been practicing this stuff. This is an amazing thing to practice. Is this mine to do? The other thing I've been practicing for years is time is on my side. And I have gotten deeper and deeper with the idea that time is on my side. And as I notice that I get deeper with that idea, how that plays out in my life is a deeper trust. Ernest Holmes talks a lot about the calm assurance of knowing that everything is for your good. Taking that calm assurance to the place of everything happens in the perfect and right time actually draws to you what it is you want. I hear people pray for patience. And I want you to know that if you're praying for patience, you're actually creating circumstances that keep from you what it is you're being patient about, instead of having it draw towards you. So you don't want to practice patience, because the universe will fill your life with stuff to be patient about. Instead, what you want is to get deeper into the abiding trust of perfect and right time. Because if you knew that things are happening in the perfect and right time, where would your anxiety be? Where would your fear be? If you actually knew that. That's what makes the identity prayer so important for us to continually take in. The other thing about treat and move your feet is, if you are taking action that actually goes against the grain of what it is you want to create in your life, the universe is getting that feedback that maybe what you say you want isn't really what you want. For instance, you could treat 1,000,000 times for a healthy body, but if all you're doing is going out and eating chocolate and sweets and fried foods, the universe is getting that communication too. It is better to do nothing than to do something that is against what it is you actually say you want. Because action is a communication too. And it's a powerful one. People say that body language is 50% or more of what people receive from us when we're talking to somebody anyway. If you believe in procrastination, you are not believing in a deeper place of trust. It is incredibly important to know yourself, to be a productive person, a person who gets stuff done. Because if you can do that, if you can know yourself that way, then you can be inspired to action. When I'm sure I've told this story before, about being in Cincinnati and finishing my work there, having no job, no money, and I thought, what a great time to practice what it is I'm preaching. Because I don't know where I'm supposed to go next. I don't know what's supposed to happen next. I've got limited money in the bank, and yet this has to work out. What a great time to prove these principles. And so I did not, for the next several months, take any action that I did not get a yes on, to fully practice. And I didn't once get a yes to go look for a job. Not once. Now, that got a little scary at times, but I kept telling myself, either this stuff works or it doesn't. Either this stuff works or it doesn't. So I hunkered down, as I have done before in my life, and said, okay, I'm really going to see this through. I'm seeing this through even if I turn out homeless, but I'm thinking I'm not, because this has got to work out for my good. 1 month passes, 2 months passes. I'm down to 1 month left of rent and very little for food. I'm like, okay, this has still got to work. I don't know what the timetable in here, but I am hanging in with believing that these principles work. What did I get as my yeses every day? Taking walks. Thinking, affirming. I got a lot of yeses around making sure my affirmations were sharp. Doing yoga. Eating healthy. Making sure that my body, mind, and spirit were ready. You know, one of the things that I never do when I'm in a place of curiosity is space out in TV or drinking or anything else that might take my consciousness away from being present. And it turns out that that's an incredibly important piece in all this, is to stay present. Now, do I binge watch TV sometimes? Yes, but not when I'm curious. Not when I'm in the midst of wanting to discover. And so there is a place in all of us that has this, you know, the other thing is there's something in every one of us, every single one of us, that is pulling us towards our destiny. Every one of us is in every moment being pulled towards our destiny. But whether we are being quiet enough to listen, we could easily miss it. We could easily miss that exciting next step that is ours to take because we're so busy doing stuff, because we're so afraid if we don't do stuff, we won't get done what needs doing. Because when you are frantic and rushing to get stuff done, you are in fear. You are not in your higher self, and you are not in a place of feeling the tug that is absolutely pulling you towards your next step. And so one night I had this dream, this extraordinary dream of everything I needed to know to create an online center. And I woke up that morning and I wrote it all down, and I immediately called up some people, and everybody I spoke to said, that's a fantastic idea, I'm sending you money. And within a week, I had more than enough to pay for my rent, to pay for food, to pay for anything I needed to pay for. 3 days later, I had another dream about writing a book called Cliff Notes on the Science of My Textbook. I made a few more calls to tell people about that and wound up getting, as a first-time writer, paid to write a book. Quite a bit. Besides gaining royalties and everything from the sale of the book, I was paid to write it. All from being quiet enough and listening. And then that led to meeting Ash, which led to coming out to California, which ultimately led to me being here with you today. Because I was willing to put these principles to the test when I needed them most, to abandon the truth in our hour of need. You hear me say this like almost every single week, because it's such an important part of what we do here. It's so easy to get frantic when things don't seem to be going well. It's easy to get frantic and give up on these principles and say, I just got to do something. And in that moment, you have told the universe, I don't trust myself, and I don't trust the universe, and I don't trust these principles. And the universe, being as powerful as it is, will go, okay, I'm behind you and will give you evidence not to trust. So when to take action is when you are in a deep, abiding place of trust as to the action you are taking. If you don't know what action to take, it's time to sit even quieter. We have a miraculous ability to create that we tend to overshadow when we buy into the science of everyday events. When we buy into, all those books on how to overcome procrastination, how to take any action and then fix it because at least then you're in motion. I mean, there's all these incredible, ways of being out there that have nothing to do with the deep, abiding spiritual nature of who we are. That doesn't mean those other things won't work, because as powerful, creative, spiritual beings, we can make anything work. We can make absolutely anything and any process we want to put forward work because we are that powerful. But what I offer you here, what I want to inspire you to, is a place of lifting yourselves up through the power of these teachings, through the power of Spirit that is right here present in your life to allow for the miracle that is there. I have put these principles to the test. I challenge you to do the same, to really take the time, and no matter how uncomfortable it gets, because what's possible can lift you to something really miraculous. There is a possibility of how life unfolds that can be awestruck, can be totally out of the realm of what you thought was possible. That can just lift you and make you feel like, oh my God, this really is special. This isn't just ordinary. There's something amazing going on here. And I get to experience that in my life. That's what's possible. Thank you. All right, take out what you're going to give. Hold it in your hand. Unfold it. Unfold it. And hold it in your hand, knowing that this is the power of the universe in your hand that you are sending out through the law of circulation, and what you send out returns multiplied abundantly. This is power. This is presence. This is how we begin that process of trust. Send it out there. The more you give, the bigger it comes back multiplied abundantly. Let's read this together. God is the source of all supply. Money is God in action. What we give, we receive multiplied abundantly. All that God is, I am. And so it is.
Welcome to a place that knows you as God. Welcome to a place